Have you ever felt like you're just, I don't know, swimming in this huge sea of information? And you're desperately trying to find those bits, those insights that actually lift your understanding. Well, you're definitely in the right place today. We're doing a deep dive into what it really means to be a leader. And not just, leading other people, but maybe more profoundly, leading yourself. Our goal here is to pull out the most powerful lessons from, well, a really fascinating mix of sources. It's like a tapestry weaving together ancient wisdom and more modern thinking. We'll be looking at people like Seneca, those timeless observations, and the challenges from Tolstoy and John Ruskin. Then there's the strategic side from Cardinal Richelieu and Robert Greene, modern insights from Simon Sinek too. And even this beautiful kind of synthesis from St. Augustine and, surprisingly, Ingrid Bergman. We're going to try and uncover how real, authentic power comes from depth, not just showing off, and how it's really character, not your credentials, that defines influence. So get ready for maybe a shortcut to being well-informed, hopefully with some surprising facts and practical wisdom you can actually apply.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Our journey into authentic leadership, authentic living, it really has to start with looking inward, which, let's be honest, can sometimes be uncomfortable. Seneca, he's got this incredibly sharp way of putting things, doesn't he? He says, you look at the pimples of others when you yourselves are covered with a mass of sores. Ah, I mean, that's a vivid image, almost jarring. What's the immediate truth there? What does that reveal about us?
It's a real gut punch, isn't it? Because if we're really honest with ourselves, the biggest block to seeing things clearly isn't, not having enough information about other people. It's often a kind of willful blindness to what's going on inside us. The insight there, I think, is that almost every external problem we spot in others, it probably has some kind of internal parallel we're just ignoring. And that's where the real power to lead comes from. It's not about fixing everyone else first. It's about starting with ourselves. It makes you ask yourself, right, how can you genuinely help anyone or even see a situation straight if your own internal mirror is all, clouded up with your own stuff, your biases?
That makes total sense. And the sources actually link this directly to this idea of a still mind. There's this line, my still mind reflects only peace and holiness. It's such an elegant metaphor, isn't it? Like that mirror.
Well,
If your inner state is calm, still, you get an accurate reflection of reality. But the moment your mind gets disturbed, anxious, judging, whatever, the mirror gets choppy, distorted, everything looks warped.
yes, exactly. And this really underscores how the quality of our inner stillness, our inner quiet, directly shapes our ability to understand things accurately, to respond wisely, and crucially, to genuinely connect with people and lead them. Peace and holiness here. It's maybe less a religious thing and more about this profound state of inner clarity, ethical integrity, freedom from just being constantly agitated. It boils down to self-awareness being the absolute foundation for effective action. Without that inner calm, our judgment's off. Our ability to lead or even just navigate life wisely, it just shrinks.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. We live in this age of just constant information, right? We've got more data, more technical knowledge than ever before. But what if all that scientific know-how, all that technical skill is actually missing something vital, something crucial for living a genuinely good life? Leo Tolstoy, channeling John Ruskin, throws down this really provocative challenge. He says, the knowledge we now accept as science interferes with more than it supports the goodness of human life. That's quite a statement. What's the immediate takeaway you see for us today?
It is quite a statement, and I think a striking aspect is how it forces us to really rethink what we value, what we prioritize. Ruskin's argument, it's not really anti-science. He totally acknowledges the brilliance of, say, astronomy or chemistry, but he suggests they often fall short when it comes to understanding, and I quote, the laws of our own life and the consequences of violating these laws. So we might be absolute experts on, I don't know, black holes, but completely clueless about our own inner world or how to live ethically. The critical insight seems to be that science fulfills its true purpose not just by explaining, dark spots on the sun, but by helping us understand ourselves. You can be incredibly capable in your job, technically brilliant, but without that deeper understanding of human life, that moral compass, you might just be very knowledgeable, not truly wise.
Right. Knowledgeable, but not wise. And this quest for wisdom, for that deeper understanding of ourselves and maybe moral laws, it ties straight into humility. Jeffrey R. Holland puts it brilliantly, I think. The more capable we are, the more humble we should be. It completely flips that common idea that competence should inflate your ego.
Exactly. It's a profound call for, well, intellectual humility. Think about the implications there. Knowledge without character. That creates managers, maybe, but not true leaders. You can have all the qualifications, all the expertise you want, but if it's not grounded in a deep understanding of life and a humble spirit, it can actually lead to pretty negative outcomes. Competence without humility doesn't build genuine influence. It often breeds a kind of tyranny or at least a self-serving power that, in the end, undermines real leadership. It's all about how that knowledge is used, isn't it? And the spirit behind it.
So how does this play out, in our lives generally, whether we're in a formal leadership role at work or just interacting in our communities with family, friends? The sources bring up this really powerful African proverb. It's so important it's actually repeated twice. A roaring lion kills no game. What does that striking image tell us about authentic strength? What's the takeaway there?
It's such a subtle, wise image. You picture it, right? The roaring lion, the supposed king of the jungle, becomes completely ineffective the moment it shouts about its presence. All the prey just scatter. They hear it coming a mile off. So the proverb suggests that real influence, authentic power, it flows from the depth of who you are, your character, not just your job title or making a big show. The person who feels they constantly need to assert their power, maybe shout about it, paradoxically, often reveals they don't feel they truly have it. Whereas embodied power, that deep, quiet strength, it rarely needs to be announced. It's just felt. It just is.
That lines up perfectly with what Simon Sinek observes. He says, leadership is not about the crown you wear. Leadership is about the person you are. It brings us right back to that inner mirror we started with. It's not the title, not the corner office. It's about the integrity, the values, the actual character you've cultivated inside.
Exactly. So maybe a question for you, the listener, is this. In your own interactions, are you putting on a show of performative power? That loud roar that doesn't actually achieve anything? Or are you working on cultivating an authentic presence, that quiet strength that naturally draws people towards, well, growth and positive change? Are you trying to prove your power, or are you embodying it? That distinction feels crucial.
Okay, so moving beyond character and that quiet strength, these sources also push us to think differently about time, about planning, about vision. Cardinal Richelieu, who was known as a master strategist, he offered this insight that still holds up. Experience shows that if one foresees from far away the designs to be undertaken, one can act with speed when the moment comes to execute them. That's really about the power of thinking ahead, isn't it?
Absolutely. It speaks directly to strategic foresight, that ability to see the larger dangers that loom in the future, as one source puts it, to anticipate not just the next move, but several moves down the line. It reminds me of the ancient Greeks. They believed their gods had this sort of complete vision into the future, right? While humans were often just victims of fate, trapped by immediate feelings, immediate dangers. But heroes like Odysseus, who could somehow look beyond the present moment and plan ahead, they almost seemed to defy fate. They approximated a kind of godlike power because they could help shape what was coming. They weren't just reacting.
And Robert Greene, kind of building on that wisdom in his Daily Law, he advises us to overcome the natural human tendency to react to things as they happen, and instead train yourself to step back. Imagine the larger things taking shape beyond your immediate vision. Is that mental discipline, isn't it?
To zoom out.
Zooming out, exactly. And this ability, this discipline to ignore the immediate, pulls the dangers, the pleasures, and instead plan with real foresight. It translates directly into power, to effectiveness. Most people, let's face it, are just too caught up in the moment, too distracted by the urgent to do this well. However, and this is important, the sources also remind us that this strategic thinking needs balance. It has to be grounded in present moment authenticity. We actually plan best when we're centered, grounded in our inner knowledge and strength, embracing that simplicity for the soul, not when we're anxiously projecting into the future. So the real challenge maybe is holding both, maintaining that strategic awareness, being like Odysseus without losing our center, without losing our presence right here, right now. Okay, this next idea. It's perhaps the most beautiful one we've encountered so far. And it profoundly reframes how we might think about suffering or purpose. It suggests sometimes the reason good things are not happening to you is because you are the good thing that needs to happen to other people. Wow.
Yeah.
That's such a powerful shift in perspective.
It really is, isn't it? What if our highest expression, our greatest fulfillment, isn't about what we get, but about what we can give, what we can contribute? This statement invites you, the listener, to see yourself not as passively waiting for good stuff to happen to you, but as potentially being the agent of good things for others. It's a profound call to service, really. And it redefines personal agency. It shifts your focus from maybe what you lack to what you have to offer.
And this spirit of service, it's echoed so beautifully in St. Augustine's advice. Timeless stuff. Take care of your body as if you were going to live forever, and take care of your soul as if you were going to die tomorrow. It sounds like a contradiction at first, but it's not, is it? It's holistic. It means tend to the practical things with real dedication. Look after your health, your well-being, like you've got all the time in the world. But at the same time, keep that ultimate perspective on what truly matters, your soul, your purpose, your contribution, as if every single moment counts deeply. We develop our skills, our capabilities, not just for ourselves, but maybe as instruments for contribution.
It's fascinating how it integrates the practical, the physical, with this really profound spiritual purpose. It creates a sort of robust vehicle for a meaningful life journey. And speaking of the soul and what it takes to live fully, the sources also challenge how we usually think about courage. They offer this really insightful paradox: to be fearless, be willing to feel fear. It kind of turns the whole idea of bravery on its head.
It really does. Explain that a bit more.
Well, it suggests that true courage isn't the absence of feel. That's often just, well, impossible or maybe even unhealthy. Instead, real courage is the willingness to feel the fear, to fully acknowledge it's there without letting it paralyze you, and then choosing to act anyway. It's that conscious choice, isn't it? To move forward even with that knot in your stomach. It recognizes that vulnerability, acknowledging the fear, is often the path to genuine strength and connection.
Yeah, that makes sense. Not pretending fear isn't there, but moving with it.
Yeah. And if you take that thought a bit further, it applies everywhere. Leadership, relationships, personal growth. Think about it. The leader who can't admit uncertainty or acknowledge they feel fear sometimes, they lose credibility, don't they? The person who can't admit mistakes, they just stop learning. And the individual who can't feel things deeply, including the uncomfortable stuff like fear, well, they can't truly connect with others either. It's all about emotional maturity, about authentic presence.
So, okay, how do we bring all these powerful, sometimes paradoxical ideas together? How do we weave them into, I guess, the art of authentic living? We can circle back to that simple but profound truth we touched on. Simplicity is good for the soul. In a world that often just celebrates complexity, more features, more noise, this reminds us there's real power in stripping away the unnecessary. And Ingrid Bergman, with her sort of elegant wit, she offers this slightly surprising definition of happiness: good health and a bad memory. That's an interesting one. What's the deeper meaning there? It's not just about being forgetful, surely.
No, definitely not. She certainly didn't mean we should just forget important lessons or ignore history. That wouldn't be wise at all. What she likely meant, and what fits with these other ideas, is having the capacity to learn from our experiences without becoming imprisoned by them. It's about holding on to the insights, the wisdom gained from the past, while also having the grace, the ability to consciously let go of the rest. The grievances, the resentment, the bitterness of things that went wrong. This idea of selective forgetting, you could call it. It offers a really pragmatic path to inner peace, to mental well-being. You carry forward what's valuable, the lessons learned, but you consciously release what no longer serves you on that journey towards clarity, towards purpose. And that's an ongoing practice, right? Not a one-off fix.
Absolutely, an ongoing practice. So the core message, really, from this incredible collection of wisdom seems to be about integration. It's about synthesizing strategic thinking with being present right now, combining capability with humility, balancing our own development with a real commitment to serving others. It's about becoming whole. Wow, what a deep dive that was. From Seneca holding up that unflinching mirror to Odysseus and his almost godlike foresight and that quiet power of the lion, we've really explored how authentic living, authentic leadership truly does emerge from within.
Yeah, and the invitation from all these diverse voices feels really clear, doesn't it? To become that good thing that needs to happen to other people, maybe we first need to become genuinely good ourselves, work on ourselves. To lead with a vision that can, in a way, defy fate like Odysseus, we first have to learn to follow our own deepest inner wisdom.
Yeah.
And, to see the world with that kind of divine clarity, we first need to clean the mirror of the self until it reflects, as the source said, only peace and clarity.
It feels like a quiet revolution, in a way, changing everything just by changing ourselves. So here's a final thought to leave you with. Consider this. What if the greatest power you actually possess isn't in what you achieve externally, out there in the world? What if it's really in how profoundly you cultivate your inner world, and then how you share that authentic self with the world? How might thinking about that shift your focus, maybe starting today? Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We really hope these insights inspire you to reflect, to integrate, and maybe apply some of this ancient wisdom to your modern life.